Hers is one of the first names that come to mind when you speak of the top female cyclist in Belize. And Kaya Cattouse will be representing Belize abroad once more, heading to Chicago to compete in the Intelligentsia Cup. She first competed in the criterium back in 2018, then returned in 2019 where she placed several days. While the tournament was cancelled in 2020 due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Kaya remained focused on her training.
Preparation for this race has definitely been a bit different due to the pandemic. It took us off the bike, off the roads, had us doing different types of training, compromising to catch up where you lacked. So I did a whole lot of gym work, a lot of running, to just maintain physical fitness so that when things were back to some sort of normalcy, getting back on the bike and getting into peak form wouldn't be so hard.
But a few months ago, the former cross-country female champion was caught in a spill and injured. She's still recovering, yet determined to compete on that international level.
We recently had the National Time Trial and Road Championships. The week before the Time Trial Championships, I was in a crash during one of our Thursday races, and I was injured. I had a torn ligament in my shoulder, and I got a couple stitches in my elbow. 2 days after that, I had to go out there and do the time trial in those conditions. Training and getting into very decent, great shape, and injury coming just before your event, it's not only mental, it's not only a mental challenge, it's also a physical challenge to be able to push your body through the pain and agony for the time. You know, so it was very difficult going into that race and even staying on the bike for the duration of the race. It was the same thing at the road races. You know, I raced with stitches in my elbow, and it took a lot of mental toughness to be able to get myself over those two hurdles.
Knowing that she was coming from a road racing background and going into criteriums, Kaya sought the assistance of former professional cyclist, now coach Bill Elliston. Some viewers may recall that Elliston won Belize's cross-country cycling classic back in 2005. He retired from full-time racing in 2008, and since then he has trained a number of international athletes and ran a cycling seminar in Belize in 2012. He spoke to News 5 about becoming Kaya's trainer.
She had some bigger aspirations to have a higher level of success than just racing in Belize. But you know, she was a rider that decided to take matters into her own hands, and so reached out to me to see if we could do a little something by way of coaching and maybe take a different approach and try and see a higher level of success. The terrain down there is certainly a little bit different, especially for a rider like Kaya living in the city when, you know, it's just everything's really pretty flat. And the only challenges you have are wind, lots of wind. I do have some familiarity with the roads down there. I have some familiarity with the riders down there. And I've seen Kaya race in person, maybe only a handful of times, but it's been enough for me to kind of get a grasp on her racing style and really what her strengths are and maybe what her weaknesses are. So having that knowledge plays a big part in me being able to craft a pretty successful program.
Going to race at the Intelligentsia Cup is a whole different style of racing from what we're used to here in Belize. And being there for the past couple of years has enabled me to get the experience that I need to know what type of training needs to be done. So the type of training that we do leading up to this race is not necessarily the type of training that you would do for races in Belize, but it's the type of training that you need to be able to excel over there.
Self-motivated, Kaya says that she has set a goal and plans to achieve it.
Going back to the Intelligentsia Cup this year, it's definitely, you know, I come with the confidence, I come with the experience. I feel like I have put in the training required. Yes, I was injured, but it's enough time in between the injury and the start of the race to be, you know, fully recovered and be able to not race with injury on your mind without pain. So I don't think it will be a factor for the 10 days of racing. I feel like we've prepared well enough. even despite of not being able to do what we needed in the pandemic, I think that we were freed up early enough to start the training that we needed to do. So I feel like I'm going over there prepared and ready.
Duane Moody for News 5.